You know those thoughts you have in your head about exercise, about health, about being a healthier version of yourself? Do you think other people share those thoughts, or are they just isolated to you? On today's episode of the Exercise is Health podcast, we're actually going to share some really valuable insights that we got from members of the One Workout Away Challenge that we ran back in May, and discuss what we learned from them about how they are viewing exercise, health, what it means to be a healthy person, what it means to have a good workout, what it means to have a healthy meal, in hopes that sharing their experience will also help you see how common the things that you are thinking probably are. We're going to cue the intro song, and then we're going to dive right into this conversation. Welcome to the Exercise is Health podcast, where we're talking about exercise, health, and the interconnectedness of the two. We are your hosts, Charlie
and Julie,
and we will be coming to you every single week from our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Exercise is Health podcast. We are your hosts, Charlie
and Julie,
and we're coming to you from our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg, here in Schaumburg, Illinois, where we believe that your health is your most valuable asset, and the single best thing that you can do to both boost and protect this asset is exercise. Specifically, exercise is geared towards building the health and function of your muscles. Now, today we are talking about some really neat insights that we got from the members of the One Workout Away Challenge that we ran back in May. And this challenge was awesome. One thing that we included as part of this challenge is something that we called Wellness Wednesdays. And on these days, we actually got to get a lot of insight into what the members thought about exercise, about health, about what makes a good workout, what makes them feel healthy, how to manage stress in an appropriate way. And we want to share some of these insights with you because I feel like a lot of times when we are thinking about our own health, about our own well-being, that can be a very kind of isolated place to be, especially if we find that our thoughts conflict with what mainstream fitness puts out as far as like how we should be exercising, what a good workout is, how we should be feeling after we exercise. So we want to share this with you in hopes that you are able to feel a sense of community and feel a sense of connectedness with others in the world when it comes to your health and your well-being.
Yeah, Charlie, I think this is so important because oftentimes when we're scrolling social media or we're getting input on exercise or nutrition, we're being told what to do. And I think that a lot of us kind of know what we want to do, and we know what we want to get out of our healthy habits. And it's a great reminder that we're all kind of different, but we're all on the same path of doing stuff that makes us feel healthy and makes us healthier. And that doesn't always mean that you're going to match up with what Jillian Michaels says on the Today Show, or what you read in the Women's Health magazine, or what you see on your Facebook. So let's dive in, and we're actually going to read you the responses that we got from the 4 different topics because I actually love them, and I think that you guys will find a lot of value in them. So let's start. Our guidelines for Wellness Wednesday in this last One Workout Away Challenge was you have to write whatever you think of in 10 seconds or less. So really we wanted it to be what comes to your mind right away. Don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze it. Don't give us some elaborate recipe or some intense workout scheme plan thing that you have. It's just the general idea that pops in your head right away. So the first one was, what are 2 signs that make you feel that a meal is healthy? So if you're listening to this now, I want you to take 10 seconds. What are the 2 signs that make you feel that a meal is healthy? So here are some of the responses we got. Color and portion size, lots of color and not feeling stuffed when you're finished, being able to see ingredients and feel energized after, feeling energized and good after eating it, and to see protein, fat, and carbs on my plate in some kind of balanced looking way. Feeling that I don't have heartburn and I could take a little walk after I eat because I feel good and light. And the last one was it's fresh, preservative-free food and you feel energized after the meal.
You know what I really liked about these responses? I think highlights so much of what I feel, and I think what a lot of people feel when it comes to nutrition, but that often gets missed when we start looking at like the marketing of nutrition and how we should be eating, is none of those responses dove into, well, it has less than 4 grams of carbohydrates, or it has at least 20% fat, or the unsaturated fat to saturated fat ratios. It's like all the stuff that we get told as like, well, this is what makes a healthy meal. Most people don't actually feel that way about their food and about what makes a healthy meal. For most of us out there, what we feel makes a healthy meal is how we actually feel after. And I think that's a really important thing to understand, that a lot of times we get so caught up in, again, the nitty-gritty details of stuff that we tend to miss, like, how does it actually make us feel physically, mentally, emotionally during the process of eating it and after we're done in the hours after.
Charlie, you're totally right. And there's so much value that I think all of us put on how it makes us feel. And again, this is one of those things that's never really talked about in the nutrition world. But you and I have interviewed so many people on this podcast talking about food and nutrition. People in this profession know that everyone is just so different. It's almost like if I said, eat meal A, and after you eat meal A, you're going to feel amazing. You're going to feel satiated. You're going to feel not like you're still looking around for something. You know, when you finish a meal and you're like, oh, I feel like I just need something else, like, you know, and
dessert.
A dessert. Yeah, or anything, you know. And after this meal A, you're going to feel satiated, you're going to feel energized, you're going to feel good, you're going to feel positive and happy about the choices that you made. And you're not like searching for more things. Your body's not telling you that you're missing something. Those are the kinds of meals that it seems like our followers were looking to have and feel good about. My takeaway from that was, whenever you're thinking about what should I eat today, yes, we have to pull from education that we've learned from the past. We all know a little bit about nutrition, but we also need to be asking our bodies like, hey, what's going to make us feel good today? What's going to help us achieve our health goals, whether that's being mobile, whether that's being social, whether that's, you know, whatever it is. But how am I going to eat today so that I feel good, energized, and healthy? All right, so week 2, our Wellness Wednesday 10-second or less response question was, how does your body feel when you think you've had a good workout? I love this one. So take your 10 seconds. How does your body feel when you think you've had a good workout? The reason I love this one is because I think I'm probably biased because we're in the field, Charlie, but in workouts, we never really think about how our body feels unless it feels bad. Like, okay, don't do that workout because it makes me feel bad, or don't do that exercise because it makes my knees hurt, or whatever. But we often get really into the rut of like overanalyzing exercises. I think that if we can think about the overall arching idea about what these workouts should be, it'll also help us stay motivated to continue to work out. So here are the responses that we got. Again, the question was, how does your body feel when you think you've had a good workout? Strong, connected, strong, and energized. Energized. Little to no pain and able to do my normal daily routines with more energy. Energized. So those are some of the responses we got from that one. And again, the theme here is, how does it leave you feeling? Just like the nutrition one.
You know, as you're reading this, I'm thinking to just a couple examples that I'm seeing in the mainstream media today, advertising fitness, okay? And one is specifically about fitness, and the other is about something else, but it kind of incorporates fitness, okay? And these are both TV commercials that I've seen. One, the woman sits down in her car and she's like, oh, that was such a good spin class. My legs are just dead. And then the version of her next to her says, oh, you know, put on the self-massaging chair in the car, okay? So that's kind of a very prevalent message that's being promoted throughout mainstream media and mainstream fitness, is like, you are just exhausted by the end. And that's, you know, that's the sign of a good workout. And then another is so focused on the doing of the work, the commercial that's coming to mind is for this fitness app where you have a trainer that texts you and, it's like, oh, I can't work out today. I'm out late at the office. And then they send back a message like, well, you have stairs, right? And then it cuts to the woman just like sprinting up the stairs. And, oh, thank goodness, like you got your workout in because you are just going all out sprinting up the stairs. That's the version of like a good workout that they're promoting, right? So one is you're completely exhausted at the end, and the other is all about the doing of the workout. Neither of which real people actually care about, which is so interesting to me. And it's so frustrating and so intriguing as well, because across the board, nobody said, oh, just being completely exhausted and having my legs feel achy and beat up and sore is a sign of a good workout. Everybody said like feeling energized, feeling good, feeling like I can go throughout the rest of my day and my workout is not a hindrance to my body. And yet the messages that we are being bombarded with as far as like what a good workout should be are completely 180 opposite of that.
You know what's so confusing about this is you're right. There is this conflict where what we're being told how workouts should be and what we should be looking for in a workout. Again, you said it leaves you feeling really achy, sore, tired, your legs are dead. And the other being this hardcore doing of exercise. If you don't relate to those, which none of these responses that we got show that they relate to that, it's very difficult to be like, well, was there even value in what I did?
Right.
Was that good enough? Did I do enough? And if that has ever crossed your mind, you are not alone. But good news, you are able to work out and get tons of health benefits, and probably even more health benefits than if you work out with the goal of having exhausted, tired, achy legs, or you have to have this all-out crazy style workout. So it really is, exercise should be about improving your health, which means making you feel and be more functional afterwards. That workout one was obviously in Charlie and I's wheelhouse. The next two, again, are going to be not our specialty, but they still do relate to health. So here it is. I want you to take your 10 seconds and think of what you're going to say, and then I'll read you the responses. What is one great way to de-stress? All right, we got go for a walk, hang out with some wonderful friends, working out with friends, snuggling with my family on the couch, reading, breath work, exercising, and taking action.
So again, I think what is so commonly advertised as far as like ways to de-stress are these extreme versions of going to some super secluded, isolated place and getting into this super deep meditation and then allowing all of your problems to melt away. So it doesn't have to be that complicated. It doesn't have to be that extreme. It doesn't have to be that complex. What it has to be is feasible and something that you can do on a regular basis. And so I really loved that in these responses is everything that was brought up is stuff that people can do regularly. People can do conveniently, and it's not a kind of cramp on somebody's lifestyle or somebody's time or anything like that. So I really appreciated these responses because they were so practical in that regard.
Yeah, I thought so too. And when you were talking about so extreme, meaning, go to some secluded island and do this deep meditation. Well, one thing that we see all the time in terms of what is, I guess, channeled to us through media is, to de-stress, you need to go on a beach vacation. And that is almost, I think, more common than the meditation one. Mm-hmm. And it's a great reminder from these responses, hey, these are things that you can do in 5 minutes. These are things that you can do in 1 minute. I mean, one of our podcast guests in the past, and they also participated in the 2021 Schaumburg Health Summit, was our guests, Dr. Ray and Jean Kadkodian, and they do couples therapy. And something that I always love that they talk about was one of the best ways to stay calm and centered and connected to your partner is 2-minute times of touching, a 2-minute hug, a 2-minute snuggle, a 2-minute holding hands, a 2-minute embrace. And really, when you think about 2 minutes, wow, that's just teeth brushing. that is not that long of a time. And so to de-stress and to spend a little time on yourself, spend time connecting with people you care about, those things will help you de-stress. And they're the experts on it. And they always say, if you get it in 2 minutes, a few times a day, that's all you need. And so definitely try these out, these little simple de-stressors that you can plug into your day. All right, our last Wellness Wednesday idea or concept was, what is your definition of health? So go ahead and think of yours. What's your definition of health? And actually, when I think of this one, it actually is more of like a picture and a concept that comes to my head. It's harder to put it to words. This question's so fun because we always ask health professionals on our podcast what they think. But really, what matters is what you think is healthy, because that's what you should be striving for. It's not what the orthopedic surgeon thinks the definition of health is, or the breathwork specialist thinks the definition of health is. It matters what you think is the definition of health. So here are a few of the responses that we got. The first thing that pops into my head is feeling good, but I know it's so much more than that. Feeling good mentally and physically, and being able to do what I love to do each and every day. Being able to do what I want to do, unrestricted by my body or mind. Being mentally and physically able to feel good, and being able to participate in the things that help me maintain my lifestyle.
So I didn't hear one single lab result mentioned.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything about
my LDL.
blood work values or anything like that. All the stuff that we are commonly told as, hey, you need to have these values in order to be healthy.
Markers of health.
Right. Nobody actually buys that. At least, again, real people aren't buying into that. Now that's not to say that there isn't value to those values, that there isn't value to understanding what your blood pressure is or what your fasting glucose levels are or anything like that. But when we think of a healthy person, we understand, when we think of ourselves being healthy even, we understand that our ability to be healthy is so much more than what the paper says our lab values were. And it goes so far beyond that. And so, again, what is marketed towards us from drug companies, from, pharmaceutical industry, from saying, hey, if you have these symptoms, you may not be healthy, so you need to, take this medication or whatever. We know, we can feel intrinsically that health goes so far beyond just the management of symptoms or the changing blood values or changing lab results or anything like that. And I really think that these answers highlighted that. And so again, I really appreciated these responses because health does not have to be that complicated. Your well-being, your wellness, your feeling good does not have to be that complicated. But so often it is made very complicated because of how it's marketed, how we believe that it needs to be, and really on a large scale, all the kind of unnecessary details that try to be included far too often. And so I really loved, again, the simplicity of these responses.
Charlie, you bring up such a good point in terms of the lab values, and this can go into other areas. Values are markers, external, that we're told mean that we're healthy. And again, what really matters is what you think. Do you feel that you're healthy and able to achieve the health that you want? I think that one of our podcast guests a few months ago, Dr. Sean Baker, who is a big proponent for the carnivore diet, brought this up. And I thought that he brought up some amazing points because, as you can imagine, if you're listening to this, you're like, wait, carnivore diet? I missed that podcast. Or maybe you listen to it. The biggest pushback that he probably gets, and gets a lot, is what that will do to blood values, because we are always taught that if you do this, you will get this change in blood value. And I love that he said, well, picture this. Someone with type 2 diabetes, achy joints, can't play with their kids, can't go outside and take a leisurely walk, can't go to the zoo and, do all the things. Let's say they go on the carnivore diet or whatever healthy habit change, and those things go away. Are you maybe as concerned at a potential risk of a blood value versus all those aspects? And so I'm not saying, again, that the blood value is not important. There is value to that. But there are also many other factors that our listeners and you have probably highlighted in your own brain that are very important and potent to health. And I almost wish that when you went to a doctor's office, they asked you these things. Are you enjoying life? Are you able to participate and do the things in life that you want to do? Are you able to be traveling if you want to travel? Are you able to exercise if you want to exercise? Are you able to pick up your grandkids if you want to? But instead, we're asked all these other questions that makes us almost scratch our head like, wait, should I be caring about that? Unless you told me, I wouldn't have thought of that as a piece of my health. So I do love that.
So we hope by sharing these responses, you can almost give yourself permission, in a sense, to think the things that you want to think about your own health and feel the ways that you want to feel about your own health without the influence of mainstream media or mainstream fitness or anything else trying to tell you, well, no, a good workout is actually this, or, to be healthy, you need to be this, or this is actually a sign of a good meal, or in order to de-stress, you need to do all these extreme things. And what we saw consistently across the board for what people believe about themselves is that their health and their well-being really doesn't have to be that complicated. And so that's the message that we want to share. Your health, your well-being really does not need to be that complicated. There are a lot of things that you are able to perceive and pick up on your own that tell you whether or not something is working for your body, whether it's working for your lifestyle, whether it is improving your health and well-being overall. That mainstream marketing, mainstream fitness, and big time companies tend to overlook, and tend to, quite frankly, misinform the general public about. So, again, who do you know that needs to hear this episode? Who do you know that is hesitating to make a transition to eating healthier, or make a transition to exercising more consistently, or doing things to try to manage their stress, or even think of themselves as, a healthy person, because they believe that it is just far too complicated. They have to think about every single thing in their environment and where their food come from, how exactly are they going to be exercising today? And share this episode with them so they can hear the insights and opinions and feedback of people just like themselves on how they think about a good workout, how they think about a healthy meal, how they think about how to manage stress, and how they think about what it means to be a healthy person and what health truly is. And while you're online, if you wouldn't mind, head on over to iTunes and leave us a rating and review. It helps people find this podcast when they're looking for information on exercise and when they're looking for information on health. So if you found value in this conversation today, let us know by leaving us that 5-star rating and review. And while you're at it, if this conversation was exciting to you and you want to learn more about the One Workout Away challenges that we run, our next one is starting up in August. You can find out all the details and register by going to owa.matschaumburg.com. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We always appreciate it. Have a fantastic week, and we'll talk with you all next week. Hey there, it's Charlie again. One last thing. I want to let you in on a secret project that I've been working on for quite some time now. I am planning on releasing a book by the middle of summer 2021. But here's the thing, because I'm self-publishing this book, there's only going to be a limited number of copies available at any given time. So to learn more about this book and to be one of the first to find out when this book actually gets released, what I need you to do is go to exerciseforlifemethod.com. There you'll find out more information as well as some exclusive bonuses that I'm offering just for simply staying in the loop with what's going on with this book. So to learn more and claim your bonuses, go to exerciseforlifemethod.com, enter in your information, and you'll be automatically kept up to date. Learn all about the book and bonuses at exerciseforlifemethod.com. This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Julie and Charlie Gates, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.